We're very excited to be introducing our new book, Growing Tomorrow's Citizens in Today's Classrooms, Assessing the 7 Critical Competencies. For this book, Tom, Nicole, and I did a considerable amount of research to say what are the critical competencies of modern literacies or 21st century skills. And we discovered that there are 7. Students' involvement or students' ability to self-regulate their own learning, communication, collaboration, creative thinking, critical thinking, digital citizenship, and social and emotional learning. This book is filled with all kinds of protocols and tools and rubrics and strategies that teachers can use to help students develop those really important lifelong skills. And it outlines the fundamental shift between assessing content and using content to develop skills. So now the shift is, and this book is an attempt to help teachers be able to use content in the service of learning. So we would use our strategies to help kids understand what those skills look like.
Teachers and teacher teams needed tools to be able to really transform their assessment practices and assess these critical competencies in very different ways than traditional assessment has been done in the classroom. So as we recognize this need, we dug deeply into the research around what are these critical competencies. We dug into what are the best ways to assess them, and we wanted to create a tool, a resource for teachers to use as they started to transform their assessment practices in ways that would lead students to achieve these absolutely essential skills for them to be successful in the world that we cannot even imagine. So our motivations in writing this book was really to provide this practical resource that was accessible for teachers to look at and dig into and be able to assess in very targeted ways where they would be able to provide feedback and certify proficiency in these critical competencies.
First, we want teachers to recognize that in many ways they are already addressing the 7 critical competencies. These are not concepts that exist in a vacuum. We know that we have kids analyze, we have them interpret, we have them synthesize. That's critical thinking, for example. So a lot of the competencies, the seeds are already planted in the classrooms, and teachers just need to recognize where they're already doing it. And the big message there is that we're not starting from scratch. There is substance, there are ways in which teachers can address these critical competencies already. The second thing we're hoping to reveal to teachers is that our 6 tenets of the Solution Tree Assessment Center are universally applicable when it comes to assessing the critical competencies. They serve as a foundation and certainly allow us to take assessment to another level. But that foundation of assessment literacy is completely transferable when it comes to assessing 21st century skills. But the third area that we're hoping to address is the challenge, and the challenge, of course, is how we transform our assessment practices to elicit more sophisticated, more authentic evidence that demonstrates real proficiency when it comes to these 7 critical competencies. And so as we wrote the book, we really wanted teachers to feel comfortable that their assessment literacy as it stands now serves as a foundation, but certainly we have to transform our practices to transform them in a way that allows us to get the kind of evidence that would authentically recognize that students are thinking more creatively, they are thinking critically, they communicate, they are self-regulating, they have all the tools necessary to adapt to the new world that they face going forward.